Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the explanation of expectancy violations theory of Judy Borgon. So in this theory, we can learn why we react on that specific communication, our reaction and that chit-chat things. So are you ready? Familiar with those pictures? So the other picture is a coffee date with a friend. The next picture below is a couple date. And the other picture is a simple talk with a colleague. So you can witness the different atmosphere, the different ambience. So I know that the reactions also are different, interactions, communication. So let's start. Expectancy violation theory. It is a theory proposed by Judy Borgon, a communication scholar at the University of Arizona. The theory was developed from nonverbal expectancy violations theory, which described the personal space possessed by a person and how people responded to its violation. So expectancy violation theory is a theory of interpersonal communication that analyzes and emphasizes the unexpected behaviors of human beings while interacting. So from nonverbal expectancy violations theory into expectancy violation theory. So we will discover it by the next page. Personal space expectations. Conform or deviate. So are you going to conform? You are going to do something they are expected, or deviate. You are going to do unexpected things in a communication. So personal space. It is the invisible variable volume of space surrounding an individual that defines that individual's preferred distance from others. So the distance is the personal space. And it is connected to the book of The Hidden Dimension by Edward Hall, an anthropologist in the Illinois Institute of Technology. So he termed the proxemics, which mean the study of people's use of space, as a special elaboration of culture. So Edward Hall added that the Americans have 4 proxemic zones. It is the intimate distance, personal distance, social distance, public distance. So the intimate distance, it is for couples, something family or close friends. Personal distance, the social distance, when you are talking with your classmates, something like that, and the public distance. So he also strongly recommend that in order to have an effective communication, we learn to adjust our non-verbal behavior to conform the communication rules of our partners. So do you agree by that? We are going to conform or do something like expected. But did you know that Judy Borgon suggested that sometimes it is the best to break the rules? As I mentioned earlier, that this expectancy violations theory came from the nonverbal expectancy violations theory. So a convoluted model becomes an elegant theory. It is elegant, termed by Griffin, elegant, something like sophisticated, beautiful. So in nonverbal expectancy violations theory, Borgon proposed the term threat threshold. So it is an eyeball-to-eyeball distance. It is super intimate when we say threat threshold. In the expectancy violations theory, Borgon proposed the term arousal. So arousal is an orienting response, mental alertness that focuses on the violator. Why did she change it? Because in the practice, they failed the threat threshold, so it is not that perfect. So she turned into the term arousal in the expectancy violation theory. So from that, it is now called EVT, expectancy violation theory. So are you familiar with the picture? When in Rome, do as the Romans do. So it is a saying, a quote. So it means that when you are in a specific place, do as they do. Okay. Here comes the idea of the theory. So Borgon proposed in the video of Griffin in their interview, she proposed that there are occasions where violation is not a negative. she told that the idea of the theory is that there are occasions when it may actually be beneficial to violate in what is called a positive violation. These can include situations where the behavior itself has a lot of positive meaning, or it may be a case where the behavior itself has some ambiguities to it. And by doing the violation, you make the source of violation more relevant. There's more focus on the source, and if that source has positive characteristics, that makes the violation a more positive kind of violation. So that is Judy Borgen's idea of the theory in the interview by Griffin. We have here the three core concepts of EVT: the expectancy, violation valence, and the communicator reward valence. So these are very important keywords in the EVT. So expectancy, it is what people predict will happen rather than what they desire. So violation valence, it is a perceived positive or negative value assigned to a breach of expectations regardless of who the violator is. Communicator reward valence, it is the sum of positive and negative attributes brought to the encounter plus the potential to reward or punish in the future. So expectancy. Griffin asked Borgen in the interview how did the expectation arise, and Borgen suggested that Griffin process the context, the type of relationship, and the communicator characteristics. When we say context, it begins with the cultural norms. Just for example, in Saudi Arabia, you can trust the people who won't let you smell their breath. So it is expected because it is their culture. It is to be like that. The second, relationship. These are the factors that include similarity, familiarity, liking, and relative status. Just for example, when we say teacher to student relationship, when you talk to your teacher, you can be the same when you are going to talk with your peers. You're going to talk to your partner. You're going to talk to your family. So it is different. The conversation is different because you are having a different relationship. So next, the communicator characteristics. It includes those demographic facts and also physical appearance, personality, and the way he or she communicate. Now, for example, it is good or the conversation is more effective when your partner is having that best communication skills and her personality also, and the physical appearance, if it is handsome or not. So I know that you can also tell to yourself that if it is more handsome or something like that, so it is good to communicate with them. Next is the violation valence. So according to Borgen, we first try to interpret the meaning. So if the valence is negative, do less than expected. And if the valence is positive, go further. Just for example, in the picture, you can see how happy they are. So I think that the violation is positive because they can go longer, their communication are smooth. So communicator reward valence, so the attributes brought to the encounter. Status, ability, and good looks are just standard goodies that enhance the other person's reward potential. The trust of the conversation is even more important. Most of us value words that communicate acceptance, liking, appreciation, and trust. And most of us also were torn off by talk that conveys disinterest, disapproval, distrust, and rejection. But always remember, when you aren't sure how others will interpret your far out behavior, let their overall attitude toward you dictate your verbal and non-verbal actions. Always remember that.
Good day, everyone. So, Mr. Derek Alviola paired me to Miss Coraza Francis May to report the Expectancy Violations of Theory by Judy Kerbergen. So, as you know that expectancy violations of theory has a divisions, and three of them is what I'm going to discuss right now. So the first one is interaction, adaptation, adjusting expectations, and second is critique a well-regarded work in process. third is ethical reflection, Kant's categorical imperative. So, interaction adaptation, adjusting expectations, has been used to explain and predict attitudes and behaviors in a wide variety of communications. Context. Bergen has crafted interaction adaptation theory or IAT as an extension and expansion of expectancy violations of theory. So there are three factors, and the first one is requirements, expectations, and desire. So requirements are the outcomes that fulfill our basic needs to survive before and have a sense of self-worth. So from the name of self-worth, I think we should have to think ourselves first and believe that we are very worthy, that we are worthy for everything, okay? And and second is expectations as defined, and expectancy violations of theory are what we think really will happen. So from the word expectations, I think we already know what it means, right? And the third one is desire, are what we personally would like to see what happened. So Burgun, when outlined to expectancy violations theory, she found particularly troubling. So, expectancy violation does not fully account for the overwhelming prevalence of reciprocity that has been found in interpersonal interactions. And with the information of everyone, reciprocity is a strong human tendency to respond to an other's action with similar behavior. Second is the critic, a well-regarded work in process. So Judy Burgon shows the same resolve as she seeks to adjust and redesign an expectancy violations model that never quite works as well in practice as its theoretical blueprint says it should. So Burgon's theory advances to a reasonable explanation for the effects of expectancy violations during communication. Okay, the theory has test table hypothesis that the theorist is willing to adjust when her quantitative research doesn't support the prediction. So the model offers practical advice on how to better achieve important communication goals of increased credibility, influence, and attraction. So that is what she means in the critic, a well regarded works in process. Now let's move to the third one. The ethical reflection, Kant's categorical imperative. So, uh, according to German philosopher Immanuel Kant, Kant believed that anytime we speak or act, we have to be moral obligations to be truthful. Kant came to this absolutist position through the logic of his categorical imperative, a term that means duty without exceptions. Like what he said, act only that maxim which you can will to become a universal law. Okay, so Burgon believes that much of human behavior is genetically programmed, yet Burgon insists that communication is also a choice driven strategic behavior. Okay, so that is what Kant categorical imperative is. So I hope that you have learned something from my three divisions discussions actually. So thank you and have a good day.